What's up, Conroe? Welcome to a brand new edition of Nerd Thug Sports, right here on 104.5, 106.1, the sister stations, streaming worldwide at irlonestar.com. As always, be sure to check out facebook.com/Nerd Thug Radio. That's the mothership where all things are happening. This is Corey DLG, and with me, as typically scheduled, NHRA celebrity driver, Austin Ford.
I'm back.
There it is. There it is, boys.
Yeah, lucky
Celebrity
you.
driver, is that fair? Is that an appropriate thing to call you?
Probably not, but I mean, I'll take it. I've been called way worse.
That's true. I've called you way worse, so I know that that's fair. Before we get on to new business, you weren't here last week when we discussed the James Harden 4-team trade. I figure I'll give you the floor to say your final farewell epitaph on James Harden.
Oh, thank God. I don't know that I actually need a lot of time on this. That pretty much sums up my thoughts on that. Yeah, I was right. You guys were all wrong in your face.
You were correct in saying that he was not going to win a championship. You were correct in saying
I said it.
He didn't have it in him.
Yeah, no, I said the only way he's ever going to do it is when he gets older and he joins some kind of super team and gets his ring. That's it. And I still don't think he's going to win in Brooklyn, but I mean, he's got.
No, I think it's going to be a trainer. I think those personalities in Brooklyn.
Kyrie Irving and James Harden, get out of here.
And Kevin Durant is not an easy person to deal with either.
No, but at least Kevin Durant wants to win.
But that's not enough. Like, there's all kinds of guys who you think there's guys in the league who don't want to win.
Yeah, but Kevin Durant is extremely gifted. When you're extremely gifted and you work hard and you want to win,
and you sign with Golden State, you can win 2 titles.
Yeah, then that's all you got to do.
That's it.
But yeah, no, I'm the Rockets. Listen, the Rockets cleaned up. They did great. That was a great move
to be.
That was a fantastic move. You got the poison out, like.
Yeah,
and in reality, they're not a bad team. That like what they have now, especially with Oladipo and stuff, they're not going to be a bad team. Are they going to be favorites to win? No. Are they going to make the playoffs? I think probably so.
Yeah, I think they're somewhere. What's weird is they lost probably net probably 10 points and some assists, but I actually think they might move up in the standings some.
Yeah. Here's the thing with Harden, what were they going to do? Right? They would be a probably 4 or 5 seed, maybe.
Yes,
right. And then they were going to lose.
Then
they were going to lose first round of the playoffs. Okay, now they're going to be like a 6 or 7 seed, and they're going to lose first round of the playoffs. So who cares?
I actually think this might be okay. So the Clippers are struggling. San Antonio hasn't turned it on yet. Dallas is actually not playing great either. I actually think this team could be the 3 seed.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, they got a shot. But the point is, that dude was like I always said, holding the team back. He really was. I know that sounds crazy to believe, but for years and years and years, I said that privately to you guys. This dude is not going to win because he's holding everyone else back, and it sounds crazy to hear whenever the dude leads the league in scoring and has been an MVP, but that's exactly what's happening.
It was also insane to hear. Okay, so I struggle to wrap my brain around this. This one of his best seasons ever. Essentially every off day he was partying like a rock star.
Yeah. I know. I was at some of them.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. But it's also it's super impressive. Like the quotes that came out from Westbrook were essentially like, if they had more than 2 days in a row off, he would borrow Tillman Fertitta's jet and go to like Cancun or Cabo.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know I don't know how true or untrue that is, but it wouldn't surprise me at all.
That just blows my mind, though, that literally he was doing amazing things on the court that year. And yet, no rest, no body take care. You know what I'm saying? Like, no body maintenance. Like,
yeah. But here's the thing. Like, you cannot – he can perform well on the court like that. I get it. But as far as your team goes, you cannot have your superstar player doing that stuff and win. Look, the Bulls did it with Dennis Rodman, right?
But he wasn't their star.
He wasn't their star.
Right.
He was an asset. They dealt with what they could with him. Like, that's fine. But if Michael Jordan would have been doing that crap, he would not be the greatest, right? Which is why James Harden is going to be looked at the way he is. Like, awesome scorer, super fun to watch on the court, absolutely devastating to any team he goes to. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that part of it. I do think you're right in the sense that it just makes me feel like James Harden isn't taking it serious. So if he's not taking it serious, no one else is putting in the extra time, et cetera, et cetera. And
yeah. Well, now all you guys believe me, because now it's coming out how much of a train wreck it actually was. And I said it for years. This is not going to work. And everybody's like, no, I don't think so. Chris Paul's going to come in.
The problem is you were saying it wasn't going to work while the guy was scoring 45 a game with 13 assists. And it's hard to wrap your brain around the idea that someone can be, a plus 20 and somehow the team is still not going to win a title. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
what he was putting out on the court is winning formula sports. So it's harder to wrap your brain around that. But the trade is crazy. The trade is awesome. I like Kurocs they brought in.
Yeah.
I also think it's an interesting side story. Karis LeVert, who I do think is going to be a star for Indiana or Indianapolis. I do think that's going to be
star, but extremely good. I do like.
He's good. I think he can be a star. But they find a mass on his kidney, and essentially this trade potentially saving his life.
Yeah, crazy.
It is insane when sports gets real.
Yeah.
All that being said, the 8 picks, I feel like that's a record. I don't know anybody who actually tracks that. I can't think of a time in modern NBA when more was given for one person.
Well, it's really 4 picks and then 4 swaps. So...
Yeah, well, you can't give more than 4 picks. Yeah. That's the thing. You can't give more than 4. And New Jersey technically could have given up one more pick. So I guess it could have been 9 picks, but it was 3 from New Jersey, 1 from, is it Minnesota or Cleveland? And then the 4 swaps.
I think it was Cleveland. I think it's Cleveland's.
I think it's Cleveland's first. But all in all, it's just this kind of impressive. I mean, it's a massive haul.
It is. They did great. This isn't as much trash as or I don't know about trash, but as much as I would talk about like some of the stuff with Daryl Morey, like I don't know about this, that like this, he made some pretty crazy trades. This is one of those trades that reminds me of that, like the fact that our GM, who used to be the lawyer, by the way, I don't know if you knew that, he was the Rockets lawyer. Like when I saw him for the first time, he was a lawyer. So
sometimes it's interesting how these people get these jobs. You and I have talked privately about Jack Easterby with the Texans. Like some of these people who get into these roles.
But he crushed this trade. I think this was great. I mean, this is a huge one to get. You got to get this right. Like this is.
This can either cripple or set up your franchise.
You're the new GM. You got to get this right. Yeah, and obviously it depends on who they draft and things like that. You could draft another Royce White or something easily, but what
was crazy about it? Royce White was a top 10 talent with the mind of just a spoiled child.
You cannot look. Who drafts a guy in the first round that can't fly?
Yeah, I didn't understand that. I felt like once they knew that.
The first time I actually heard that from a player, he was like, "Yeah, Royce doesn't fly." I'm like, "Oh, he's like, no, seriously, like, not he doesn't want to fly with the team or anything. Like, he's got to take a bus." I'm like, "Are you what?"
Yeah, it worked in college because it's a 20-game schedule, but with an 82-game schedule in the NBA, he essentially was going to be on the road nonstop.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, they nailed it. My thoughts on the Rockets trade, they did great. I think each team got what they wanted. The Nets, as much as I think it's not a great idea to have James Harden on your team, why not? If you're the Nets, why not? You've already got Kyrie Irving. I mean,
the Nets,
it's a move they had to make, really. So
if you're the Nets, you got rid of 3 role players for 1 more star. I mean, that's the kind of math you're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think everybody won out of that, but
Yeah.
probably Karis LeVert more than anybody.
For sure. He gets to stay alive. That was he didn't know his life was on the line in that trade, but it turns out. Do you imagine if he goes somewhere like Cleveland where they probably don't even do a real physical anymore? And it wouldn't have, nobody would have found it?
They probably give you the mass in Cleveland, I think.
At this point.
At this point, they're like, congratulations, here's your tumor.
There's nobody in Cleveland who wants to be there other than maybe Kevin Love.
Yeah, I don't even think Kevin Love wants to be there, but
I'm sure he's. I don't know. I'm sure he's kind of like oddly cool with it. Like he won't admit it, but in the back of his mind, he's like, "Ohio's not so bad."
Cleveland is bad though. Ohio's not so bad. Cleveland, oof. Have you ever been to Cleveland?
I've never been to Ohio, so I can't even imagine that it's all that different.
Ohio's look. I've been to Ohio, parts of Ohio. Ohio's is cool. I got no problem with Ohio. Cleveland is, oh, Jesus, I don't even know what to say about it.
Drew Carey would disagree with you.
Look,
I'm just saying.
Else says stuff about Cleveland. It's accurate. Whatever they say is true. I don't know what they're saying, but whatever it is probably true.
It's 100% true. Okay. 100%. All right. So I guess that kind of closes the book on the James Harden situation. I do think all of those picks we got from New Jersey are going to wind up being value because I think the first one is 2 years out, and I don't think that team is going to keep it together that long.
No, there's no way. I don't think Kyrie Irving might retire next year if, he finds out, that the Earth is actually round or something.
He is such a head case now. How did he become such a head case? Also, Kyrie Irving is proof that LeBron James is probably one of the best leaders in the NBA.
Yeah. I got LeBron James is a champion. Obviously, he's like you said. He's the guy that pushes people.
He kept that guy's crazy under control for 4 years. Think about that.
Yeah.
The second Kyrie goes to Boston, all the crazy comes out of him like a leaky faucet. But
I think Kyrie just has to play second and third fiddle, I think, is what the deal is. But in order to do that, you got to have a superstar. Yeah, when he thinks he's the man.
Yeah.
He just lets anything fly, doesn't he?
He really does. You know what it makes me think of is Tracy McGrady always played better as the second fiddle on a team. Tracy's best times came in Orlando when Grant Hill was healthy for the first week of every season, and in Houston when Yao Ming was healthy for the first month of every season. Tracy McGrady always looked amazing, and then the second it was on him, he would wilt.
Yeah, I still like T-Mac though.
He seems like such an awesome guy on TV, and there's all those great highlights, the 12 points in 30 seconds and all that. But if ever there was a guy who could have been more but wasn't, it's T-Mac.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
So we'll go from that. We're going to get right here into the NFL playoffs. We're down to a Final Four. Green Bay, Tampa Bay in the Battle of the Bays, which I think every sports person is going to say on TV on the weekend. And Buffalo and Kansas City. Is this your top four?
I mean, it's darn close to it. I mean, like,
I'm willing to say that Buffalo surprises the heck out of me.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. Like, whenever the playoffs started, I think like I made a comment like, "Can you believe we're about to have a playoff where who was it? The Bears, the Bills, and the Browns?
Yes, yeah, they all won a game, or no, they all had a game.
They're all in the playoffs. It doesn't matter. They're all in the playoffs. Yeah. And in the second round, I don't remember who it was in the second round that I was talking about. The Bucs. Yeah, the Buccaneers in general. I mean, you think about just even last year, the thought of that happening, you're like, there's no way. Now the Bucs, obviously, they had help with Brady and Gronk and all that stuff, but still, the Bills. the Bills are doing a lot right, and Josh Allen is really coming to his own. He's
this has been the Josh Allen season for sure.
Oh, I really like watching Josh Allen play. And he's got a cannon for an arm. He's athletic enough, and
he's a big, strong dude. I didn't realize how strong he was.
Yeah, he's huge. I think he was only like a 2 or 3 star recruit out of high school. And, I think he only got like Wyoming and somewhere else offering him.
I love those stories when a guy's got no options and then just shows up and shows out. What was it, T.O., who wasn't even invited to the combine or whatever? And
yeah, I love that. I don't know what something in me makes me think that maybe he was kind of short or small all the way up until like his senior year or something like that, and then just shot up to like 6'3" or 6'4" or something like that. There's something like that happened. I think it was like a growth spurt or something. All of a sudden, it was just like, now this dude's just like a beast.
We're talking about Josh Allen or T.O. now?
Yeah, Josh Allen, not
T.O. Yeah, I mean, there had to be something that people didn't see coming. I mean, obviously, that sounds as likely as anything else. But to me, what's super surprising is just the reality of it, that this guy was, I mean, okay, Buffalo drafts E.J. Manuel 5 years ago.
Terrible decision.
But more importantly than that, they just looks like they didn't know where they were going. And then it's a hard reset 2 years ago. And all of a sudden, they're in the playoffs. They're in the conference championship.
Man, you get you a good QB and a good coach, QB to coach deal. I mean, you can do a lot. And Josh Allen just really made a lot of progression this year.
This has been a big year for him. He has changed. He has grown tremendously this year. I agree with that.
But yeah, I think that this kind of like the same thing in the college football playoffs, where you're like, are these the 4 best teams? Yeah, they're probably the 4 best teams. I mean, these really probably are the 4 best teams. Any team with Tom Brady's a top 4 team. Doesn't matter. Green Bay, Green Bay and Kansas City obviously had the best records in the NFL, and Buffalo has just been playing insane. So yeah, I think these are the 4 best teams.
I think it's very possible. It sounds like a dumb question when you say it out loud. Are these the 4 best teams? But I think in the playoffs, a lot of times, there's always a team that's just playing hot football at the right moment.
Correct. Yeah.
And they kind of like both times the Giants won the Super Bowl. I think they were just playing the best football at that exact instant, but they were by no measure the best team. But it doesn't matter. It's whoever wins. I mean, that's just how it goes. I think Buffalo right now is playing that same magic football that we're talking about. I don't think that they're necessarily a great team, though. I think the evolution this year has been impressive. But I think even if we restarted the year right now, they probably don't make it to this Final Four situation.
I don't know. Bold statement.
I would say they are probably very surprising. But as we're talking, I'm kind of struggling to think of who I would want in that spot right now. Probably Baltimore.
No, the Baltimore's overrated. Lamar Jackson is extremely fun to watch. Lamar Jackson to me is overrated. He's Michael Vick 2.0.
But when Michael Vick was used properly, there was not a more dangerous, scary quarterback.
I get it. He's extremely fun to watch, extremely dangerous, hard to game plan for. But I don't think he will ever be that super clutch QB.
No, I don't think he would be clutch either. But I think what you just said right there is what makes him instead of being clutch, he's just incredibly hard to prepare for. And he's incredibly hard. Listen, a lot of the times when the linebackers line up, they know the play. It's just a matter of execution. With Lamar Jackson at quarterback, I don't believe the defenses know the plays.
Well, you can't. It doesn't matter if you know the play because he can change the play.
What I mean is, like, if they line up in the same formation 10 times, the linebackers aren't going to know which ones are the runs and which ones are the pass because Lamar Jackson can change it at that spot, and that's the magic that's his magic.
Yeah, well, they run a zone read, so nobody knows whether it's going to be a run or a pass.
Right. And so, to me, he doesn't have to be clutch as long as he makes those reads correctly. When he has a bad game, then yeah, Baltimore's a terrible team. That offense is abysmal when he's not making his reads.
Yeah.
But when he's zoned in, that's an impossible thing to scheme against because defenses don't want to stand in their spots all day. They can't do it.
That's true. That's true. But at the same time, Buffalo, if Josh Allen doesn't have a great day, they can still win. And that's the difference to me. Like if Lamar Jackson has a bad game, like an actually look, he didn't play good today. He threw 3 interceptions, whatever. They're losing that game. But Josh Allen, the Buffalo is a good enough team to overcome that
with their defense.
They did it. They did it several times. Like there was a streak where Josh Allen was not playing, like a 3 or 4 game streak this year where he just wasn't playing that good, but they still won half of those games.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean,
there's no maybe. That's a fact.
No. I'm saying maybe to the end result of what you're trying to get at, where that Buffalo is.
You can just tell me I'm right. It's fine.
No, I won't do that. We'll move on. So instead of saying you're right, give me predictions here. What do you think?
You know what? I think the Buccaneers are going to surprise Green Bay. I really do. That's going to
be a heck of a surprise. I will say that. They're playing in Green Bay.
Look, that's my shocker right there. I think the Buccaneers are going to surprise Green Bay. As much as I want the Bills to win, the Chiefs just look incredible.
Let me ask you, any concern about the health of Patrick Mahomes
though? A lot of concern, yeah. And actually, if you're a bettor, you might want to hedge that bet because it goes from like Chiefs -3 to if Mahomes doesn't play, it's like I think Buffalo at 6 or something. So if you want to go ahead and place that bet, and if Mahomes goes down, they are losing that game. I don't. Chad Henne, a minute or two in a game, I get it. He can make sure that you don't lose that game, right? I believe in Chad Henne enough for that. But for Chad Henne winning me some actual football games in the playoffs, 0% chance of that. I'm sorry. Anything is not possible.
Wow.
Yeah, there's no way. So, yeah, if Mahomes is playing, even if he's at 50%, I still think that they might win that game. But, yeah.
Now, not just the concussion thing though. Apparently, his foot is in bad shape too.
Yeah, he's got like turf toe or something like that. But yeah, I do think the Buccaneers are going to beat Green Bay. If Mahomes plays, I say Chiefs wins. If Mahomes does not play, Buffalo is going to win that handily.
Okay, so a bit of a waffle there, unfirm. Okay, I accept your scaredness to make a prediction.
There's a lot up in the air. There's a lot up in the air with that second game.
No, I totally understand. You're scared. You don't know what to do. You're like a babe in the woods. I understand.
Fine. You know what? Buccaneers and Bills. Firm.
All right. Buccaneers and Bills. So both road teams.
Both road teams. Both are not the favorites.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
How you like that?
You've learned a lot in your time in Vegas, apparently. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take the opposite of you there on both. I'm gonna go Green Bay. I think in full appreciation of everything Tom Brady has been able to do. I don't know that you can't just keep going to teams and being Super Bowl there is no history of guys playing 1 year on a team and winning the Super Bowl for them. Like it's not a thing that happens. So
the GOAT.
I mean, he is the GOAT. I don't deny that. 6 Super Bowl wins out of 20 years of playing is an impressive thing. What he's doing in Tampa is impressive, but also I just don't buy the whole concept of just being able to keep. God, you can't just keep doing it. So no, I'm going Green Bay.
It's gotta stop.
It almost has as much to do with the likelihood of him winning a title for Tampa Bay as it does the idea that like Aaron Rodgers is also pretty great himself.
Yeah, that's true.
And then as far as the other game, I don't know that it matters who's at quarterback because I think the Chiefs' offense, even with Chad Henne, it's still Tyreek Hill, it's still the running backs. I don't believe for a second that team can't score 30 on anybody. That they just put points up, and so
I don't know if Chad Henne has scored 30 points on a team ever. Well, we might have to look that up, but I don't think it's ever happened.
Listen, this may be the first time. However, I just think it's almost like if you could give the worst driver in the world a Ferrari, they're still going to accidentally go 80. Like, I mean, it's that offense is so high powered. Surely even Chad Henne can't screw that up.
Did you just listen to yourself? We're recording this, so I want you to play this back, and listen to what you just said.
What I said will be correct. The Chiefs will win, even if Chad Henne quarterbacks.
Man, really going out on a limb here, aren't you, Corey? Picking the two favorites?
Not only am I picking the two favorites playing at home against teams that weren't likely to be there at the beginning of the season, I'm picking two of the best teams in football to win. So, yeah, I feel pretty
literally the two best teams in football.
I feel great about it. Like, everything's in my favor. But I listen. We're supposed to call winners, and I don't see the game plan more Tampa Bay. I don't see the game plan where Tampa Bay wins. They got 4 turnovers against New Orleans and barely won. So, yeah. I mean, the idea that they're going to go to Green Bay and whip them, I don't know how we get to there.
No, I don't think they're going to whip them. I think it's going to be a tight game. But in a tight game, I'm taking Tom Brady. That's
in a tight game, Aaron Rodgers is no scrub though. It's not as though Aaron Rodgers fumbles the ball and falls apart.
Look, those things. Listen. You're right. He is no scrub, but he is not Tom Brady, the greatest of all time.
I agree, but the way it gets to be is being the greatest of all time helps more when you play scrubs than when you play Aaron Rodgers.
I think it helps with everything in your life. I think
he's the best grocery store shopper
when he orders his food. He's the greatest of all time at ordering his steak. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he does.
That is A, the stupidest thing I've ever heard, and B, probably true. Let's jump out to a break here, and when we come back, we'll talk a little legacy here, because you and I were having a conversation over some drinks the other night about the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick dynamic. How we're going to view this over the next couple of years. So we'll get into that when we come back. This is Nerd Thug Sports.
The Adventure Begins, Comics, Games, and More is open on 1488 at 525 Woodland Square Boulevard. With comics, games, and everything nerd-related, The Adventure Begins is the one-stop nerd shop. On Saturdays, they alternate between having Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, and coming up, they also have cosplay crafting and trivia nights and BYOB nights. They're currently offering a 10% discount for limited time.
This is Rudy Tomjanovich, and welcome to Nerd Thug Radio.
Welcome back to Nerd Thug Sports, right here on 104.5, 106.1, the sister station, streaming worldwide at irlonestar.com. Thanks for hanging out with us on this Thursday afternoon, doing Nerd Thug sporty things. This is Corey DLG, and with me as occasional, Austin Ford.
I'll take it. Occasional. I'll take it.
It makes it special when you're here. Before we get too far into anything, I do want to talk about our sponsor, The Adventure Begins, Comics, Games, and More. They got a lot of stuff going on this week. Tomorrow at 6 p.m., they have Team Yankee and Flames of War casual meetup. It's a great time to break out those games and join us for some casual in-store fun. Austin is almost ready for his professional Team Yankee debut. Saturday, January 23rd at 2 p.m., Pokemon and More Pokemon. It's a casual meetup for all level players. Come join in on the fun. And then Saturday, January 23rd at 6 p.m., it's Hammer time. Warhammer and Tabletop Warhammer meetups are back. Bring out your armies and hang with fellow wargaming enthusiasts in store. And then there's one more Wednesday of the Backstock Comics sale. All 75% on comics in backstock areas and 25% off comic bundles, hardback books, and trade paperbacks. The adventure begins, comics, games, and more right there on 1488. Clean, family-friendly, well-lit. Make sure to go hang out with them. Support local businesses. They are awesome. I buy my books there. Nico is going to be playing the Digimon there. It sounds like every other Tuesday, so there's going to be next Tuesday, there's going to be a Digimon event. It's casual meetup, I believe. $5 entry fee, and there's going to be a limited number of seats, so make sure to sign up for that as well. All right. You and I, we may or may not have been a couple drinks in the other night, allegedly. And the question came up, who looks better right now, Brady or Belichick? I'll let you go first and kind of, how do you feel about that?
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Look, like, now listen, this is starting to sound like I have a man crush on Tom Brady.
Well, it's because you do. I don't think that's unobvious.
I may or may not. Yeah, I may or may not. But I just respect the hell out of what the dude's doing. I mean, like, at this point, like, when you look at his entire life, everything he does is impressive. I don't like what else can you say?
What if we find out that there's a bunch of stuff he can't do? Like, he's so football centric that, like, he can't tie his shoes, and like he struggles to stay in one lane while he drives.
I don't know. I just would at this point just assume he knows best. If he's driving in the middle, I just let him do it.
Mr. Brady, this is the third time we pulled you over. Just want to say we're big fans.
Yeah.
And maybe pick a lane. It's not a big deal, though. It's not a big deal.
Not a big deal. Yeah. Now, what Tom Brady's doing is impressive. Now, look, Belichick deserves a ton of credit. Obviously, it was the right combination of, Brady and Belichick, really, which drove the Patriots, franchise for years and years and years. But I do think this kind of proves, to me at least, that Tom Brady had a lot to do with that, because Belichick, they didn't look good. They just didn't look good. And now, granted, Cam Newton is terrible, but like what he's done going to the Buccaneers, and again, he's gotten some help, like Gronkowski. They have a bunch of weapons and stuff like that. But the Buccaneers were not a good team. They were not a good team. Tom Brady comes there. Now look, they're still in. By all intents and purposes, they may win the Super Bowl. I don't know. But Belichick, the Patriots look bad. So to me, that's pretty impressive. Like, Tom Brady looks like, holy crap, like, was he the one coaching this team? I don't know.
So I will say this. I read an article the other day where Bruce Arians made the comment that Tom Brady is in practice perpetually kind of giving notes and coaching everyone on the offensive side of the ball, kind of tweaking things. Which Bruce Arians then goes on to say he knows in New England that there's that wasn't allowed, that there was always only one voice in New England.
Yeah.
And so now this year for New England, I want to get on the Cam Newton thing here in a second, but this year in New England, they had about 6 defensive starters opt out for COVID at the start of the season, and a bunch of NFL execs went off record background saying they felt like Bill Belichick had a hand in that essentially he wanted this off year once he realized he couldn't get his quarterback situation the way he wanted it.
That would not surprise me. That would be a total Bill Belichick move.
Yeah, and honestly, the reality was I think he got to look at the what is the kid's name? Stidham,
Jared Stidham,
whoever he's supposed to be.
Jared Stidham.
He's not good. He's not any good. So the reality is, once he saw that Stidham was no good, he went out and got the best quarterback on the free agency market, allegedly. My thing about Cam Newton if you're not going to move him around, he's not useful. Like, if you're not going to run, do some RPOs, if you're not going to threaten the linebackers with quarterback movement, then Cam Newton is not a useful quarterback.
Yeah, Cam Newton, when he first came into the league, was extremely deadly in that aspect because, he's young, he's super athletic, all that stuff. Dude, you watch Cam Newton play over the last, I don't even know, 5 years at least. That's not him anymore. It's really not. Like,
well, he definitely doesn't. He doesn't
like
want to move around. That's for sure.
He's a tight end playing quarterback.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah, he's not good. Like, he's still got a good arm, but he doesn't know where he's going to throw it, and he doesn't move around like a super athletic QB anymore. He's just like barrels into the pile, and that's it. That's game over.
I think you remember we used to talk about how Derek Carr basically was ruined by the Texans.
Yeah.
David or Derek? David Carr?
David Carr.
Yeah. How essentially by year 6 he's hearing footsteps. He goes somewhere else and basically he can never start again because he's just no longer able to mentally get calm.
Yeah, he doesn't have a clock in his head anymore.
Right, and I think that's Cam Newton's problem. I think he had a clock in his head when he first started, but they trained him, they ran him so hard, and the injuries added up so much. At this point, it's all out of whack. Now, also, in Carolina, they would go out of their way to draft giant wide receivers because Cam Newton had the tendency to throw the ball high.
Yeah.
There's not another team that's got 5 guys that are 6'3" and up. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So for New England, if you were Edelman and Amendola and you're like, they signed who? You're never going to catch a ball again.
Yeah. See, back to the timing thing. I actually don't think Cam Newton ever developed timing in his head. Because you think about, like, when he was at Auburn, he didn't have to do that. He would just scramble and run around and do all this other stuff. And then when he came into the league, it was the same thing. If he didn't have that time.
I think his MVP season, he had a great sense of timing because he would bail on plays. He would take the 5-step drop and then know that the play was busted.
I think he had. I think he had more, but the thing is, like, he was relying on his athleticism to get him out of certain situations. And this is the problem I've always had with athletic QBs, saying that I don't think they win championships. Because in like, now that he's getting older, or in a lot of those cases when they start getting hurt or told they can't do that anymore. But Cam Newton's situation, he's getting older,
and he's been hurt.
And he's been hurt. He never developed timing, in my opinion. Never really had to. And now he has to. It's too late. And now he looks awful.
Well, they talk about, Father Time's undefeated. And for these guys who rely strictly on athleticism, who's a better example of that right now? Blake Griffin.
Yeah.
Blake Griffin used to jump over cars and wear capes and was a Superman. Detroit squeezed every last ounce of football or basketball, out of him in the first year last year of that deal. And last year they looked great, but he played 43 minutes a night, 41 minutes a night. Now this year, he had 5 points in 33 minutes the other night against a bad team.
But basketball is a little bit. There's a lot of oddities in basketball, like the ratio of dunks to like your career longevity is crazy. Like if you're a big dunker and stuff like that, you don't last. And also like foot size. If you don't have big feet and you're over 7 feet tall.
Yeah, we were talking about that with Yao Ming.
Yeah. It's like
me and Nico talking about how Yao Ming, his feet were so much smaller in comparison to Shaquille O'Neal's that they tried to keep a weight cap on him where like he couldn't weigh over X amount of pounds because they were trying to just keep the feet healthy.
It's something crazy. Like if you're 7 feet tall and you don't have like a 15 or 16 or like a 16 shoe, like you play half the games of a normal 7-footer or something like that. I don't know the exact statistic anymore, but it's something crazy like that. So that's a little bit different. You're not going to you're not going to get that out of those basketball players. But like the NFL players, I mean, I do feel that way about athletic QBs. Like, I guess get in and get out. If you draft an athletic QB, because you're only going to have a couple of years of this dude.
Yeah, like so you're saying like Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, get it. Dude, and I really feel like in 3 or 4 years, unless he really learns to throw in the pocket, I'm not saying that can't be done, but yeah, he's not going to be able to rush for 500 or 600 yards a year and throw for 3,500 and be successful. It's just not going to happen. Like, he's rushing for almost over 1,000 yards right now.
Yeah,
there's no way that's going to last. When he gets to where he can't run like that anymore, or he starts getting hurt, and he's only getting 300 or 400 yards a year, he's going to be garbage at this rate.
Yeah, and also he takes a lot of hits, and he's a slender guy. So I do kind of wonder about that. I do think you're right about that. Michael Vick, his injuries often though came scrambling in the pocket. So when you fast forward to his time in Philadelphia, where he had those 2 years under Chip Kelly, and he looks like the most incredible quarterback. Those 2 years he spent in Philadelphia were probably the most impressive quarterbacking I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, look, Michael Vick, same thing. Like, it was just so much fun to watch at points, different points in his career too, before and after he killed all those dogs. But like, same thing though. Like, you can only do so much. If the reason you're in the NFL is because you were a super athletic QB, and like your athleticism was your appeal, it just turns out that never works. It just doesn't work. It works for a couple of years. It's impressive. And most of the time during those couple of years, you're not winning championships.
No, you're definitely right. John Elway was one of those guys who came into the league as a super athlete. Steve Young came in as a super athlete. And essentially they taught them how to become quarterbacks.
Correct. And not only whenever those guys calmed down and became pocket passers and QBs did they have that success.
And the helicopter dive.
Correct. Yeah, but I feel the same way about Lamar Jackson. Super fun guy to watch play. It can be incredible. I don't think he's going to have much success winning championships right now unless he drastically changes the way he plays the game.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can't argue that. I think you're more than likely. None of these guys have lasted when they do this. Who was the guy? When Kaepernick, it was Kaepernick and another guy who were doing the same thing, the RPOs and all that.
I don't know. Was it Mariota? I don't remember.
Mariota's a great example of what could have been.
Yeah.
It might have been Russell Wilson, who still is able to do it on his own, but he now is a passer.
Yeah, and again, he changed. He was always more of a passer, but he did have that persona about him that he was kind of a scrambler runner. But to me, there's a difference between being a scrambler and a runner, like an athletic runner. Like, there's people that can scramble in the pocket with the best of them.
Yeah.
And those guys, I got no. Russell Wilson is that guy to me.
Big Ben is one of those guys who can stand in the pocket forever.
Yeah, and Big Ben is like hugely out of shape now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he looks like a potato out there now. Like, he's so sad.
Yeah, he literally looks like Will Ferrell now out there. But
can we get Will Ferrell to do a Big Ben movie at this point?
Oh man, that'd be great. That'd be great.
It's Ben Roethlisberger here.
Yeah, but it's like, yeah. I mean, back to the, we got sidetracked from the actual Cam Newton part of it, but I think that's the problem. I don't believe scrambling QBs make it. I think that's what's happened to Cam Newton is he now cannot scramble and run, and he's gonna look terrible.
Well, and you saw in New England they did try to move him around, and he couldn't do it. And that I think Bill Belichick thought, you know what, I'll get one of those runners this year. We won't have much of an offense, but we'll keep them guessing, and it didn't work that way.
Yeah, I think Belichick did the same thing that Doug Peterson did in Philadelphia. He just did it from the start, and he did it in a much more intelligent Bill Belichick way of being like, you know what? I didn't get my guys. I got Cam Newton, and we're going to suck. So let's just play this out. I think it's going to run its course.
Yeah.
Like, instead of Doug Peterson at last game of the year going, crap, we got to lose.
Yeah, what do you make of that? And he got fired for that, by the way.
He did. He got fired because of public persona. You know that they had internal discussions about this kind of crap. So, like, there's no way that the GM and the owner weren't thinking the same thing about tanking. I think it just didn't quite work.
You think they left him out to dry there?
I do think they left him out to dry there. Like everybody's talking, like, yeah, I would rather lose that game and move up 3 spots. You see what happens draft day, where teams have to give up a second or third rounder to move up 1, 2, 3 spots. It's extremely valuable to have, go from whatever it was, 9th to 6th. Okay,
yeah,
extremely valuable. That's what I'm doing. I don't care about the Giants. I don't care if the Giants' feelings are hurt. I'm losing that game, but I think I'd have gone into it from the beginning and been like, listen, guys, I kind of want to lose this game for us, okay? But, like, you can't. That's really hard to do. It's really hard to do.
You know what you do if you're doing that? You go to the guys and you make sure they're all getting their money. You know what I mean? Like, if there's somebody who's 8 catches away from a bonus or something, you go into that game with the intention of just getting everybody their money, and honestly not looking at the scoreboard one time.
Yeah, and I hear all the arguments and don't necessarily disagree with, like, you want a winning attitude. Just like the joke of the Jets, who could have gotten Trevor Lawrence and then win a game, and now everyone's like, what? It's like, the fans are like, we suck again.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, they're like, they can't believe it.
Do you think they keep Sam Darnold now that Trevor Lawrence is likely not going to be there when they pick?
I haven't completely given up on Sam Darnold.
Really?
I know that's shocker, right?
I haven't seen what
he's had nothing to work with. He's had nothing.
No, and that's fair, but I just haven't seen anything out of New York at all that makes me think there's anybody worth keeping.
Yeah, but I mean, I think at this point, he's cheap enough to where I'm keeping him on the roster to be a backup or fight or push for a starter at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, you'd have to go get somebody else just as good or better, and I don't know if there's anybody out on the, like, if you don't draft Trevor Lawrence,
I'm not drafting Justin Fields. I can tell you that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know I don't know what you do at that point.
Look, Justin Fields had one really great game against Trevor Lawrence, and I'm gonna applaud it. And he's had a good career, but in reality, it wasn't a fantastic career. I don't know what everybody's talking about. Like, college football is I love college football.
You do.
Like, he was a very good college football player and looked really impressive at points. But he's another super athletic guy.
Is this the Ohio State quarterback we're talking about, Justin Fields?
Yeah, Justin Fields.
Yeah.
But again, he's afraid of competition. He transferred from Georgia.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
When he didn't get the starting nod, so he transfers from Georgia, goes to Ohio State, has a pretty good career, but look, he's looked really bad at numerous points. Okay, like,
also,
and to me, like,
also name the Ohio State quarterback who's had any kind of career.
No one. Yeah, there's none. Joe Burrow transferred.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so he didn't have a great season until LSU.
Right.
Really. But yet they don't. I had these arguments about U of H QBs. Whenever we would talk about how great their stats were, or even Texas Tech.
Oh, Case Keenum was an argument I couldn't swat down enough.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes from Texas Tech ended up having a great, obviously is everything right now. But yeah, dude, like, there's just some QBs and systems that just don't put out good NFL careers. And Ohio State is not a QB factory.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're not prepping these guys for the NFL. They're prepping them to win college games, which is their job.
If I'm an NFL team, I do not want Justin Fields. I would take him second round.
I think I liked when Oakland took Terrell Pryor in like the supplemental at like the third round or something. I thought that was I thought that was a smart way to go about that. But all right, so we're up against it here. Let's kind of sum it up here. Brady, Belichick, you're going to give the edge to Brady over the next couple of years, huh?
Yes.
I think I want to see how this playoffs finish and the draft goes. But I do recognize that Brady at least cemented the idea that he was a solid 50% partner in the Brady Belichick era.
Yeah, and if he wins, if they so happen to win a Super Bowl, I think that discussion's completely over. Like, it's clearly Brady. If they win a Super Bowl this year or next year,
what if they both win one in the next 3 years?
I'm still going Brady.
I think if they both win one in the next 3 years, it just becomes super impressive.
Yeah, they're both incredible at that point, I guess. It doesn't really matter.
Suddenly, it's just like maybe they were each the best.
Yeah.
All that being said, on behalf of Austin Ford and myself, Corey DLG, and Nerd Thug Sports, Nerd Thug Radio, and the Adventure Begins Comics, Games, and more, I want to thank everybody for listening. Make sure to wash your hands, stay safe, wear your mask. The new president says 100 million vaccines in 100 days. Let's see if it happens. Let's get rid of this COVID. Let's move on to the next thing that's cool and trendy. Fight power, Black Lives Matter. Everybody take care of yourselves. Stay safe. All right, have a good one, guys. Thanks for listening.
The Adventure Begins Comics, Games, and More is open on 1488 at 525 Woodland Square Boulevard. With comics, games, and everything nerd-related, The Adventure Begins is the one-stop nerd shop. On Saturdays, they alternate between having Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, and coming up, they also have cosplay crafting and trivia nights and BYOB nights. They're currently offering a 10% discount for limited time, which will be valid for as long as you grab your books every month. Hey, Conroe, this is Corey DLG of Nerd Thug Radio, hanging out here, just enjoying my quarantine time at home, and I hope everyone else is doing the same, social distancing and minding their manners and listening to the orders while we get all this health crisis straightened out and get this pandemic under control. I hope everyone's doing their part to flatten the curve, but doing their part also means supporting small businesses. Local businesses here in Conroe, restaurants, things of that nature that have been able to stay open, they require the support of their community. So takeout is a good option to do. So reach out to those places, order some takeout food if you can afford it and if it's reasonable. I'm not asking anyone to risk their health, but the community has always relied on itself to support itself. And this is one of those times where, as Conroe, we can stand up together and take care of small businesses and entrepreneurs who've been taking care of us this whole time, helping Montgomery County grow into one of the fastest growing counties in all of America. Thank you very much, and stay safe, and stay tuned for more Nerd Thug Radio.
Hi, this is Kevin Smith, former Dallas Cowboy, Texas A&M Aggie as well, and I want to say what's up to Nerd Thug Radio.